LinkedIn. So hello, folks out there. I'm flying solo today on this webinar, so it's going to be a little bit tough to man the chats in general, but specifically on the three platforms. I'll probably focus mainly on the Zoom chat, since that's where most people are in. And by the way, if you haven't seen our YouTube channel, you should check it out. Just search for myDevices, or you can youtube.com. I think it's just /myDevices IoT. We're streaming live there now, but we've got a ton of just great content on here, quick videos, reels, that sort of stuff that just kind of go through. There's a bunch of sensor unboxing videos in here as well that actually show all the different types of sensors that we offer, and they're quick unboxing videos so you can learn more about it. All of our live streams are on here as well. So we've got tons of really helpful content for those of you that are out there that are trying to understand, which sensors to use for your projects, what differentiates myDevices from others, what we do well, and things like that. There's tons of playlists and videos in our YouTube channel. So I'd encourage you guys to go out and check that out. But okay, so we've got plenty of people in now. Although I'm not seeing anything in the chats. So guys, if you could throw in something in there, just a quick hello, so I know you're out there and I know this thing's working and you guys can hear me at least, maybe just like a thumbs up, something like that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of truck along and we'll get to the meat of what we're talking about today. So first of all, thanks everybody on Zoom, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you're calling in from. Thanks for the time today. It'll be a quick one. But I think it's will hopefully be productive and hopefully let you guys, the goal really is to help you learn more about who we are, who myDevices is, also learn about what's going on in the industry and what's popular and what's moving and what solutions we're engaged in, what solutions are we seeing on the forecast we're kind of building and seeing potential for in the future. So to start, for those of you that don't know us, we're myDevices and we simplify sensor deployments. And really, if I go to our products tab here from within our website, let me clear that. We simplify sensor deployments by offering everything that you need all from a single place. So, in IoT, there's a lot of fragmentation. There's a lot of everybody does a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's a lot of vertical solution providers, a lot of companies that are very good at doing temperature monitoring or air quality or smart bathrooms or whatever it is. But we kind of are a single source that empowers all of those. And the funny thing is, a lot of times the solutions that you'll see on the market that are niche or vertical solutions, we're actually the foundation underlying that's empowering those, because we provide all the underlying requirements for deploying IoT solutions. So that's everything from software, things like a sensor app, an app to basically one app to configure all of your sensors, because you can purchase different sensors from different manufacturers and you've got to do some level of configuration on them. How often do you want it to send readings? Point the APN somewhere if it's a cellular sensor, LoRa network configuration, just all that stuff just to get the thing to turn on. Well, we've got a single application that allows you to configure any sensor for any use case quickly, just by scanning a QR code. We've got back-end tools, so device management, customer management, integration management, bulk provisioning services, all in our back office tool. We've also got things like custom reporting, so integrations into Power BI and Tableau, so that all of the sensors that you're deploying you can quickly create custom reports that any Power BI developer would be able to build in less than a day, or any Tableau developer would be able to build in less than a day. Integrations into any platform, whether it's a CMMS system, building management system, energy management, ERP, or an IoT platform. We've got one-click integrations into all of that. REST API for further customization. So this is kind of on the software side, but then we've also got hardware as well. And if I click in here, we are a single source for you to purchase any sensor really for any use case. So we become that single vendor. We actually warehouse and inventory these devices inside of our logistics center. So if you are looking for a solution and we determine that a temperature sensor is the best way to complete that project, we can deploy that with you. If it's energy monitoring, if it's vibration on machines and motors and pumps, if it's air quality, asset tracking, panic buttons, leak detection, soil, trash bin, occupancy, survey buttons, vibration monitoring, predictive maintenance, Modbus, 420 milliamp, SCADA, PLCs, pipe pressure, on and on and on and on. We're a single source that can provide those sensors to you all in a one-stop shop. So when you combine the hardware, then with the software, now you've got this, you can see the power of that all of a sudden, where now your customers come to you, or if you've got an internal project for your own company and it needs to meet XYZ requirements, it's not this crazy task of trying to figure out where to go to get the stuff. We become that sole provider. We say, okay, we recommend this sensor. Here's the app to configure it. And the customer usually is going to say, well, I want it to integrate in my ERP with single sign-on, and I want it to create a work order if the alert is triggered. Okay, no problem. We've got the integrations to make all that stuff happen that are compatible with all of these sensors. So it's really about simplifying that. And then there's connectivity. Not shown here would be like Industry 4.0 connectivity and cellular connectivity. We'll have that added soon to the site. The site was obviously launched recently. We've upgraded a lot of it, but LoRa connectivity, cellular connectivity, Modbus, MBus, PLC, all that stuff, SCADA, everything that I was saying before. We provide the provisioning for that connectivity. If it's Modbus, we map the right registers to the device so that the data is decoded properly. If it's cellular, we're activating the SIMs on the carrier network of your choice. LoRa network, we provide a LoRa network server that's plug and play with all of our solutions. So, and then the final thing is bundling that in with all of our services. So when you combine all of the tactical tools you need, the app, the integrations, the API, the physical hardware, the connectivity to make it all work, and then you combine services on top of that, that completes the wheel, so to speak. So that is sensor advice. Hey, here's my project. Okay, based on our experience, this is the bundle that we would recommend, and here's how you're going to want to configure all the devices. Provisioning, right? Okay, it needs to go on this network or that network, or it needs to have a label on it so that the customer knows where to put the sensor when it's deployed. Fulfillment, you don't have to be in the hardware industry. You don't have to warehouse things. You have to hire employees to put hands on every sensor that you're shipping out. We have a warehouse and we'll do that as a service, basically 3PL services for IoT. Installation, we get boots on the ground. We have 50,000 installers in the US that can go out and actually do the professional installation, and then some custom development and support. So the services really kind of tie everything together so that our partners, and just an example of when I say our partners, the types of customers that we're going to market with, this would be like T-Mobile, for example. We empower T-Mobile sensor solutions. Aramark, we empower their smart facilities solution where they're doing demand-driven cleaning schedules and air quality in buildings. Sodexo, direct competitor to Aramark, similar solutions. Honeywell, Cisco, US Department of State, we're doing smart cities basically all around the world. NG for energy monitoring, Brightly for CMMS and work ticketing, safety culture, inspection, checklisting, FSG, largest electrical contractor in the US, so energy monitoring and some school safety solutions. So those are the types of companies that we're empowering. So by giving them all of those tools, they can just focus on bringing good solutions to their customers without having to do the years and spend the millions of dollars on the R&D. So for those of you on the call today, that is the service that we would offer to you as well, and enable you to play in this game as well and be able to bring solutions and projects either internally or outbound to your customers as well. So I want to dig into some solutions here because we're seeing some trends, and I think I've talked about this on previous calls, but there's some interesting continued success with this type of solution. So this is a energy monitoring and runtime solution. So this hot drop device is one of our most popular devices. It's a clip-on energy meter. What makes this thing unique, however, is when you combine it with everything that I just told you guys about, like all the software we provide and the services and everything else. One of the things I didn't mention was around our ability to actually add business logic onto the data. So this is our platform, our software app, or basically the configuration app for all the sensors. If I open up this location where I've got different sensors deployed, these are all simulated. That's why you see that big purple button here. So I can actually click this and send a simulated packet of data from each of these sensors. So you can see the CO2 value changed, for example. And I can simulate opening and closing this thing through a downlink command as well. Now, I'm going to go and find one of those hot drop devices that I was just showing on our website. Okay, like right here. And if I go into the device settings, you can actually see specifically what device it is. And when I say sensor configuration app, what I mean is all of this down here. So What's the voltage of the piece of equipment that this hot drop is clicked onto? What is the power factor? Do we want the data in kilowatts or watts? How often does the machine that it's plugged into reset? And all of these different configuration parameters impact the way that the data is resolved, basically. So you can see on here that based on that configuration parameter, we can actually see things like, and it's not showing on here for whatever reason with the template that's being used here, but total machine runtime, total machine downtime, right? In fact, let me go into, instead of a simulated one, let's go into a real account here so you can actually see that working in real time. But the point here is that within every device, and here's another example that I like to show while that other screen is loading up. This is actually a trash bin level sensor. So this is not only for trash bins, but for silos or tanks or whatever it is. But if you were to just take this device and try to parse out the data on your own or try to make sense of it or add value to the data that you're receiving from it, all it's really going to give you is some analog value about the data that this sensor is receiving. But what we do is we collect user input. So is it going on a horizontal tank or is it going on a vertical tank? How tall is the tank? What's the distance between the bottom of the sensor and the top of the tank? Because we need to eliminate that buffer out of the equation when we're trying to figure out what the user really wants to know is how full is that tank? So these parameters go into the configuration so that when the data is resolved and shown, you get 51.5%, 78%. And now what we can do is feed that data into another system. We can feed it into an IoT platform. We can feed it into a work ticketing platform. We can feed it into a building management system, but they're not going to get 3 amps or whatever the voltage value that the sensor is getting. They're going to get 50% full, a precise, accurate measurement. Now they're going to get all the metadata and the raw data as well over there if they want it. But by going in here, going into integrations, and now forwarding data from those sensors through a webhook to some URL, let's say, or into a reporting software like Power BI. Like if I go into our reports and our backend here, these are custom reports that are being built, and I can actually see, this is a really simple kind of diagnostics report, but I'm able to, in a singular Power BI report, see Dragino, Moco, GlobalSat, Netbox, Samina, Laird, MileSite. These are all different. Oops, let me mute this tab. Sorry about that. So these are all different manufacturers' devices that are sending different types of data in different ways, but they're all merged into a single Power BI report that any Power BI developer can use our APIs, ingest the data, and create a tabular report like this. This particular report, just so you know, is actually showing us the number of readings per day. And then we're able to highlight anomalies, like why did this sensor send 155 readings that day when it normally only sends 2 every day? So we can start to do some anomaly detection. And given that it's a panic button, that device went into panic mode. So they either were testing something or there was actually an incident in that hotel. We have access to these reports. You have access to these reports as the admin, once you have a license to the platform, to be able to not only have access to these reports, but create your own reports for whatever type of diagnostic info you actually need for the projects you're deploying. If we take another step back, we're combining a lot of different things here to really create a very powerful go-to-market opportunity, because the sky really is the limit with what you can do with this type of leapfrogging, basically all of the jargon that it takes to just get a sensor to work and point the data and the LoRa network server and the connectivity and all of these things. Just being able to take a device, scan a QR code, put in some configuration parameters about what it's being used for, and now you've got this enriched data, and now you can send it out to where it needs to go, Power BI, for example, into a report like this, or anywhere else. So where are we seeing this data end up mostly? Well, I'll show some examples here. This is Safety Culture. They have a platform called iAuditor. This is an inspection checklisting app that they've developed. So you can imagine a property management company or a manufacturing plant, and they've got all these inspections that they're doing pen and paper. Well, they've digitalized them through their iAuditor platform. So you can take this pen and paper report and build an identical report inside of their software, and it's mobile and web friendly. Well, through our integrations, we're now able to send, like, think of that trash bin level example, rather than sending some unusable data into this system, we're actually sending the trash can was 45% full at 10:30 a.m. on February 3rd. So that way we can slot those into all the fields needed to create this inspection checklist automatically. Another example is things like IBM Maximo, and other CMMS platforms where like Brightly is one of them, acquired by Siemens recently. They have smart assets basically. So performance-based metrics on large motors, machines, pumps, HVACs, things like that. So enriched sensor data coming from myDevices into this platform, so that if there's an anomaly, like the HVAC is vibrating too heavily or the machine isn't working properly, it creates a work order for a maintenance tech to go and check on it. But we can have that whole workflow completed in under a day, rather than trying to work with a developer to parse out a specific sensor for a specific use case one time, and then moving on to the next one and doing the work again. We just have this universal sensor API that we can now kick off work orders for any type of solution. So that's, all of these things combined, we break them down into solutions. Like we started with this energy monitoring and runtime. It could be asset tracking, it could be air quality, it could be tank level monitoring, vibration, room occupancy, and people counting, temperature monitoring, or it could be a custom solution with any of the sensors in our library. But we're empowering IoT at any scale and any vertical within this very short time frame and consolidated process. So why are companies using us? Well, this is why. This really takes dollars and time away from having an effective go-to-market IoT strategy. Partners, customers that come to us, they're stuck in the mud a little bit. By the time we engage with them, they're now focused on revenue generation and getting quotes out to customers and doing deployments. And then it goes into scale, and we've got tools to help scale quickly as well, like bulk provisioning and installation services and things like that. So that's kind of on to the next level. So I believe I was actually going to go and show, now I've got so many tabs open. Here we go. I wanted to show that hot drop device. And by the way, guys, if you have questions on any of this as we go, feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll answer them directly. I'm trying to do my best to man the Q&A in the chat, but yeah, throw your questions in the chat. I'd love to answer them, and maybe we can spend our last 10 minutes or so more open dialogue, so I'm not just talking at you today. In the meantime, I do want to show maybe a quick example here of a dashboard. So I'm just remote accessing a site. This is a white labeled version of our application. So this is what we license to our customers. They get same software you were seeing in my demo environment, but their logo, their colors within their own container inside of our server, all of that. But you can actually see they've got leak sensors in there, but these are the hot drop devices. And you can see in the last 24 hours, this escalator was running for 10 hours. So it was turned off for half of the day. And why is that important? Well, everybody is trying to save energy. Escalators don't need to be running when the building is closed, when there's no people in there to use them. So for 14 hours out of the day, 12 hours out of the day, we can turn them off, but we need to be able to track that to validate that we're doing that. And if we're not, if this goes over 11 hours of runtime, when we know the store is only open for 10, create a work order and send somebody to get to that store immediately and turn that escalator off, right? As an example. But in conjunction with that, we can see total kilowatt hours. You can actually just send a packet and updated in the last hour and the last 24 hours and total. So now we can connect that to Power BI, right? Or in Tableau or some reporting tool. And on a monthly, quarterly, annually basis, we can see across my 1,000 buildings, 100 buildings, or 2 buildings, how much energy am I using? And how often was I in compliance with keeping my escalator only running for 10 hours a day, as opposed to letting it run for 24? And how did that impact my energy usage? Therefore, if I can correct that issue, how much energy savings will I see over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? And with ESG compliance, carbon neutrality, net neutrality, whatever you want to call it, it's critical to be able to report on this so that you can make a change and show the change that you're going towards net neutrality and saving energy. So, I mean, just almost a no-brainer to start deploying these kinds of solutions for every industry, hotels, universities, retail, restaurants. It's, you know, it's something that everybody's thinking about, but they haven't quite wrapped their heads around how to monitor energy usage and what to do with the data. But we've kind of we've simplified that. And this is something that's really powerful for that. So, and you can see all of the energy or the configuration parameters here on these. Let's take a look at some of these dashboards and wonder if there's anything interesting here. You know, our visualization tool here allows you to kind of create different visuals. So you can see the charts they've got set up here for different purposes and different dashboards. And then you can give different users different access permissions to these dashboards. So some people might be concerned with the amps of energy at this location, others not so much. They want to see other things. So you can set all those user permissions and everything. But just kind of clicking around here so you guys can see the setup that they've got going on. And how to use this tool effectively. So, and then again, you can integrate this data. I'm not sure if this account would be the one with the integration set up, but no, if there were, you'd see them here. But that energy data can go out to Power BI. It can go out to Azure, AWS. In fact, here's our docs page with our list of integrations. Whoops. I don't know how that happened. But if I go to our docs section here, Hot Sauce, that's a service optimization system for hotels. A lot of hotels use that application. Again, it's work orders and work tickets. AWS S3, Event Hub on Azure, IoT Hub, IoT Central, Azure Storage, Delta Sharing. This is how we get data into data warehouses, data lakes, and all of that. There's some other ones like Discord, just creating like an alert notification, but also just a generic MQTT, Slack integration. I mean, just so many in here, kind of goes on and on. There's single sign-on with things like Active Directory. So yeah, the power in the API is the ability to route the data, route the user management, route the metadata and everything to any platform for really any sensor. So this long list of sensors all feeds through that different pipe. So yeah, that's one solution. I'm going to check the chat. Okay, you guys are quiet today. I don't know if that's good or bad. But this is we went through kind of energy monitoring. Another one that might be interesting actually is this vibration monitoring. So anybody that's selling into or deploying in manufacturing spaces, Industry 4.0, this is a magnetic vibration monitor. So you can see the magnetic base on the bottom, and you just put it onto any motorized asset. It's got an axle, and you can do vibration monitoring. And let's see again if I go into one of my 7 million tabs here and see. I'm going to open up my dashboard again here. I think I have, yeah, it's a predictive maintenance dashboard here. And by the way, guys, if you don't have your own app like this, go to our website and click the big try free button and get one, because it's just really cool to be able to have, it literally, you sign up, you put in your email, password, whatever, create the account. And then it takes about like a minute or so to load, and you get about 30 sensors with simulated data, signal strength, battery. You can send simulated payloads. It creates all these custom dashboards here for you, like templated dashboards. So you don't have to really do any work, but you can see kind of how this would work. And if you have an integration destination, you can actually go in integrations and open a webhook or connect to your Azure or AWS cloud or whatever, and start sending simulated data to that endpoint just to kind of prove out how the connector works. It's really, really kind of it's an amazing tool to be able to just jump in here and do this, like what I'm doing. So if you go to our homepage, you can just click try it free, and then sign up and create your own account here. It takes, like I said, it's about a minute. Be a little patient. It takes a little bit to load, but it's doing a lot. There's a lot of stuff being built there. So, but this particular use case, like I said, you put this device on a motorized asset, And then within the dashboard, you can actually visualize predictive maintenance data. And every time I navigate away from the right tab, I regret it because I don't know where the new tab goes, to be honest. So here we go, because it's dark. Oh, anyways, I think this one will do. Okay, so if I go here into my predictive maintenance dashboard, I can see, okay, I've got 3 assets here, my water pump, my AC unit, my reheat coil. Click on the water pump. Okay, there's my XYZ axis velocity acceleration, but most importantly, this is what's called ISO 10816. So if you're not familiar with it, there are actually technicians like ISO 10816 technicians that go into a big warehouse and actually probe all of the different machines and check the vibration patterns. And then it gives it a value that's good, satisfactory, all the way up to unacceptable. So this sensor is just kind of pulling for that data constantly and then reporting on it, so that if the machine ever does get into the red zone, again, through our integrations, we can create a work order that says, hey, go check on that machine based on whatever thresholds need to be set. So, and again, there's device settings. You can change, configure, reading intervals every minute, 5, 10, 15, whatever. What class machine is it? And actually, if I change this to class 3 as an example, oh, I need to fill in the other info. But what that does actually is this ISO chart here changes based on the class device that you are putting the sensor on. So class 3 is going to have higher threshold for vibration. Class 1 is going to have lower threshold for vibration. So these values are going to be a bit different. So yeah, just another example of a use case that we're seeing that's pretty common. So, well, I hope this was helpful, guys, to give you just a very quick sneak peek of the different types of solutions we're seeing, the type of company, what we provide, really kind of how it all glues together. In the chat, I'm going to throw in app.mydevices.com if you guys would like to click through there, create your own free app and kind of play around with this. And then we'd love to schedule a call with you to learn more about your individual projects, what you're working on, and really how we can help you get to market faster with sensors. So I don't see any questions in the chat, but if you guys do have them, now is your last chance. Otherwise, we'll call it for the day and let everybody get on with their regular stuff. So maybe I'll give it another minute or so. Any questions out there, guys, or any comments, feedback on this, please throw it in the chat and I'll address that. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time today.